Welcome to your deep dive, all about the future of finance. We're going way deeper than usual this time to figure out how digital currencies and instant payments are changing how we interact with money, every day.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time for finance. Lots of changes happening really fast.
Exactly. And, we love to get into the nitty-gritty here.
Absolutely.
So you sent over some really cool stuff for this deep dive.
Yeah, I'm excited to dig into it.
We've got excerpts from Fintech and Digital Money. Now, that's a mouthful.
It really is.
It's by Dennis Frank. And let me tell you, that title alone has got me ready for a wild ride.
Me too.
And we've also got Ripple's 2024 report, Trends in Regional Payments. So clearly you are on your way to becoming our resident expert on everything fintech.
Well, I don't know about all that, but I'm definitely trying to keep up with everything that's going on.
As we all are, right? It seems like every day there's some crazy new development in the world of finance.
Yeah, it's definitely moving at the speed of light.
It really is. So with all of that in mind today, we're going to answer some pretty big questions.
Okay, ready?
Are we on the verge of a cashless society?
That's the big question, isn't it?
I mean, will your grandkids even know what a dollar bill feels like?
I've actually thought about that, and it's kind of mind-blowing.
It really is. And most importantly, what does this all mean for you right now? Like, how do these changes actually impact your life?
Yeah, that's what I really want to get into.
Me too. So to kick things off, let's rewind the clock a bit, because to understand where we're going, we need to understand where we've been. Frank's book actually takes us through this whole history of money. And I got to say, it's not just some dusty old textbook lecture,
No, definitely not.
It's actually really fascinating. It's all about understanding how we got here. Like, how did we even get to this point where we're talking about digital currencies and all this stuff?
Yeah, it's kind of wild when you think about it.
Think about it for a second.
Yeah.
We went from bartering. Imagine haggling over chickens and pottery. Can you imagine?
It's crazy to think about. That's how it used to be.
I know. Like, I need some milk. I'll give you 3 chickens for that. It's insane.
Right. And who decided that a chicken was worth a gallon of milk anyway?
Exactly. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we went from bartering to precious metals.
Right.
Like gold and silver.
Right.
And then eventually we landed on this whole idea of paper money, which really, when you think about it, only has value because we all agree it does.
Yeah. It's basically just a piece of paper.
Exactly. It's just a piece of paper. So it really makes you wonder, what is money, really?
It all boils down to trust, doesn't it?
You got it.
Whether it's a gold coin or a dollar bill or even a digital wallet, ultimately we're putting our faith in something that lets us exchange value with others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that trust is really important.
It's the whole foundation of the system.
But as we all know, trust can be pretty fragile.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we saw that firsthand back in 2008 with the financial crisis.
Oh, absolutely. That was a major wake-up call for a lot of people.
It definitely was, because it made people question the entire system.
Absolutely. Like, if this is what can happen with our money, what are the alternatives?
Exactly. And you know what entered the scene right around that time?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Right when everyone was questioning the banks and everything.
Big go. So for anyone who might be new to this whole thing, Bitcoin is like digital gold.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's a decentralized digital currency.
Meaning
no single government or institution controls it.
which is big deal.
It is a very big deal. And the really groundbreaking thing here is the technology behind it.
Which is
Blockchain, baby.
the one and only.
So imagine this. Imagine a digital ledger that keeps track of every single Bitcoin transaction.
Okay, I'm imagining it.
But here's the thing. It's not kept in one place. Like not in some bank's vault or anything.
So where is it?
It's distributed across a whole network of computers all over the world.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so secure and transparent.
Because it's virtually impossible to hack or corrupt the entire network.
Exactly. And that was a huge part of what made Bitcoin so revolutionary.
Right.
Because it was like, hey, what if you could send money directly to anyone, anywhere, without needing a middleman?
It was like cutting out the banks completely.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that sent some major ripples throughout the financial world. No
Yeah.
pun intended.
I see what you did there.
Had to get the ripple pun in there.
Had to.
But seriously, though, Bitcoin really challenged the very idea of banks as we know them.
Yeah, it was a radical concept, and it really got people thinking differently about money and finance.
For sure. And that leads us to the next big thing, shaking up the financial world. CBDCs.
CBDCs.
Yeah, central bank digital currencies.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've heard of those. But to be honest, I don't really get it.
Yeah, a lot of people find them kind of confusing,
Yeah, definitely.
but they're a really big deal, and I know you were interested in learning more about them based on what you sent us.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen them mentioned more and more lately.
It seems like they're everywhere, right?
Yeah,
It's like suddenly every government wants to create their own digital currency.
right, exactly. So, like, what's the deal with that? I mean, is this really the future of money?
Well, that's what we're here to discuss.
Okay, cool.
So think of it this way. Imagine a digital version of the cash in your wallet,
Okay, got it.
but instead of being printed by the government, it's issued digitally by the central bank.
Okay, so in the US, that would be like a digital dollar.
Exactly. We'd have a
Okay.
digital dollar running alongside our good old physical bills.
Interesting. So how is that different from Bitcoin? I mean, aren't they both just digital currencies?
Good question. Remember how we talked about Bitcoin being decentralized?
Yeah, because it's not controlled by any one government or institution.
Exactly. Well, CBDCs are the opposite. They're centralized, meaning governments have a lot more control over the money supply and how people use it.
So more control for governments. Got it.
And this isn't just some far-off futuristic idea either. This is a global trend that's gaining serious momentum right now.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Frank's book dives into some really interesting real-world examples. Like, did you know that the Bahamas actually launched their own digital currency back in 2020?
No way. Seriously, I had no idea.
Yeah, they were way ahead of the curve with this whole thing. It's called the sand dollar.
The sand dollar. That's kind of a cool name for a currency.
Right. I kind of want one now just for the name. But anyway, the sand dollar is actually a really interesting case study because it was designed to solve a specific problem in the Bahamas.
What's that?
Well, they got over 700 islands.
Wow, 700.
I know, right? And some of them are pretty remote. So traditional banking can be a real challenge for people living on those outer islands.
Okay, makes sense.
The sand dollar makes it much easier for people to access financial services even if they don't have a bank branch nearby.
Oh, so it's like promoting financial inclusion.
Exactly. And that's a really powerful potential benefit of CBDCs, especially in countries with large unbanked populations.
Yeah, that's huge.
It is. But of course, there are also some concerns about CBDCs.
Like what?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is privacy.
Oh, yeah, because if it's all digital, then governments could potentially track every single transaction.
Exactly. Imagine a world where every cup of coffee you buy, every online purchase you make, everything is tracked and recorded by the central bank.
Yeah, that's a little bit Big Brother-ish.
Yeah, it definitely raises some big questions about financial privacy and government overreach.
You're sure.
And China is already way ahead in terms of implementing their own CBDC.
They are.
Oh, yeah, big time. They've got the digital Yuan, which they call the DCEP.
Okay.
And people are already using it for all sorts of things over there. Paying for groceries, paying taxes,
Yeah.
even sending money to each other just using their phones.
Wow. So cash is basically disappearing in China.
It's definitely on its way out, which is pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. And a little bit scary, too.
I hear you. But hey, at least we're having this conversation now, right? Because these changes are happening whether we're ready for them or not.
True. And it's not just China either. The Ripple report you sent over talks about all these other instant payment systems that are popping up all over the globe. Like in India, they've got something called UPI.
UPI.
Yeah, it stands for Unified Payments Interface. And it's huge over there. Like billions of transactions every single month.
Wow, billions.
Billions with a B. And it's all happening instantly through people's phones.
That's incredible.
It really is. And what's really exciting about this is that it's bringing millions of people into the digital economy who may not have even had traditional bank accounts before.
So it's like leveling the playing field in a way.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is. It's like we're witnessing a whole new era of finance unfolding right before our eyes.
We are. We definitely are. So buckle up because things are about to get even more interesting. And to make this whole world of instant payments actually work, we need everyone speaking the same language.
Right. Yeah, like a universal language for money.
Exactly. And that's where ISO 2022 comes in.
ISO what now?
Haha. I know it sounds pretty technical, right? ISO 2022. It's basically a global standard for financial messaging.
Okay, I'm still kind of lost. What's the big deal with this ISO thing? Why should I care?
Okay, so think of it this way. Imagine you're trying to order food in a country where you don't speak the language.
Yeah, that's never fun. Lots of pointing and hand gestures.
Exactly. It can be a real challenge to make yourself understood.
Right. Well, ISO 2022 is like creating a universal language for financial transactions so that all these different systems can talk to each other without any problems. Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense. So it's all about making things smoother and faster.
Exactly. Because as these systems get more complex and interconnected, which they definitely are,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
we need a way to make sure everything runs smoothly. And that's what ISO 2022 is designed to do. It's about enabling seamless and instant transactions no matter where you are in the world.
So someday, sending money across borders could be as easy as sending a text message.
That's the idea.
Mm.
And the really cool thing is that this isn't just some far-off dream. There are already some really promising examples of this happening in the real world.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, the Ripple report actually highlights this really cool example from Brazil.
Okay, I'm listening.
They have this instant payment system called Pix. Yeah, Pix. And it's been a massive success.
Huh.
Like millions of people and businesses use it every single day for everything from splitting restaurant bills to paying street vendors.
Wow, so they're not even using cash anymore.
Pretty much.
Oh,
And it just goes to show that these instant payment systems have the potential to totally revolutionize how we handle money.
for sure. It's definitely exciting.
It is exciting.
Wow.
But, it's not just about the technology. It's also about how these changes are impacting the global balance of power.
Oh, how so?
Well, Frank
Yeah.
talks about this in the book. He brings up the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
I've heard of them.
So these countries, they're becoming major players on the global economic stage, right?
Right.
And they're increasingly embracing digital currencies and innovative payment systems.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, are we going to see a shift away from the traditional financial powerhouses? Like, could these BRICS nations end up having more influence in shaping the future of finance?
That's a really good question. And honestly, I'm not sure what the answer is.
Me neither. But that's the beauty of all this, right? We're living through a time of unprecedented change and innovation in the world of finance, and it's both exciting and a little bit daunting.
Definitely a little bit of both.
But hey, that's why we're here,
Right.
to try to make sense of it all.
Exactly. And to hopefully empower ourselves to make smarter financial decisions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to wrap things up for today's deep dive, I just want to say that we've covered a lot of ground, from the history of bartering to the potential of a future transformed by digital transactions.
It's been a wild ride.
It really has. But I hope you've learned something new today and that you feel inspired to keep exploring these topics on your own.
Me too. Knowledge is power, after all.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And for anyone who wants to delve even deeper into all of this, and I know you do, we'll be linking to specific sections in Frank's book and the Ripple report in the show notes. So definitely check those out when you get a chance. And with that said, I think it's time for us to sign off for today. But before we go, any final thoughts from you?
Just that this is really just the beginning. This whole digital finance revolution is only going to get bigger and more complex from here. So buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Words to live by. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the future of finance. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of fintech.